Factor follow-up segment tonight. Every fair-minded American in the country knows that Governor Palin got hammered by the media during the presidential campaign. Now a new documentary called Media Malpractice: How Obama Got Elected and Palin Was Targeted is out on DVD. Here's a preview.
Joe Klein's on the board, his blog for Time magazine, and I'll quote briefly. It's important for the public to know Palin raised taxes as governor, supported the bridge to nowhere before she opposed it, pursued pork barrel projects as mayor, tried to ban books at the local library, and thinks the war in Iraq is, quote, a task from God.
I perceive that clip, as I implied before, as basically Brian Williams putting out the word, hey, you know, we got to take care of this woman. Do you perceive it that way?
Well, I think that was a call to action. Sounds like it, yeah.
All right, the man who asked Sarah Palin that question is with us now, the producer of the documentary, John Ziegler. Now, that was on MSNBC, what Williams did, right? And that was the night that Palin gave her out of the park speech.
Exactly.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I did not see Williams. I was on the air myself.
Right.
All right. So what Williams did, we took Joe Klein, a confirmed Democrat.
Right.
All right, and a liberal guy, writes for Time magazine.
Right.
So he took Klein's column, which of course is going to be anti-Palin, and he read it to the nation. For what reason?
Well, Brian Williams does this a lot, and we proved this in the film, Media Malpractice, where his favorite tactic is to use the words of others that are really his words. It gives him plausible deniability. It's one of the favorite tactics of the media elite.
But did he have any reason to use Joe Klein? Why didn't he use the Daily Kos or somebody like that?
Well, because he felt as if this gave him enough plausible deniability to get his message across without it coming back on him.
Well, why didn't he quote me?
Well, that's the funny part, Bill. Of course, we'll never see Brian Williams do the opposite. He was only going to do that to somebody on the left.
Look, Williams is a guy who puts himself up as Mr. Fair.
Right.
Okay, doesn't he?
Sure.
Okay.
We prove
he sits there, and he sits there every night, and he looks in, and I'm Mr. Fair, just like Brokaw before him. All right, and I don't have any dog in the hunt. You say, Ziegler says,
and I prove,
and in your documentary, and people can see it on the line. We'll
HowObamaGotElected.com.
Okay. You say that Williams consciously took an anti-Palin piece from a known Democratic sympathizer, Joe Klein from Time magazine, and read it to the nation to undercut Sarah Palin's evening.
Well, it certainly had that effect. It's my perception, and as you saw, it's Governor Palin's perception. And also in the documentary, the next thing Sarah Palin says is, why didn't I know that when we gave this guy an interview? We never would have given this guy an interview if I had seen that. Now, she was half joking, but I think she was
her ops
serious.
People should have given it. Look, with all due respect to Governor Palin, her people are not the best. Okay, she's never appeared on this program. We have a very hard time communicating with them. You're much more successful than I am. But anyway, so you say that NBC News, not MSNBC, which was kooky far left.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. NBC News, in the face of their main guy, Williams, went out from the jump, because it was moments after Palin gave, and everybody thought it was a good speech, and nobody really knew much about Sarah Palin.
And those things that he states there from Joe Klein are almost all false. And what
they're out of context.
Right. Well, and context is everything. This documentary is all about context.
Absolutely.
I put this entire campaign through the prism of the media coverage in a context that people have never seen before. People are going to be stunned by what they see here, Bill. You, as ingrained in all of this as you are going to say, wow, I had no idea that happened because there's just so much media. I dedicated my life to this, and this is the result. And I hope people will see, hey, we've finally proven what we all knew and felt to be the case.
My audience will certainly want to go and see it because they want to make up their own mind. But I just want to get the overarch here. So you basically say that there wasn't even a grace period to find out who Sarah Palin was or how effective a governor. No grace period. As soon as she got the nomination, they went in.
I think the proof is even more insidious than that. They tried to destroy her in those first 3 days. They failed, and when she gave that spectacular speech, that was Brian Williams calling in the cavalry. Hey, we now really got to up the ante and go after this woman.
You really think that guy is, I've known him for a long time.
I think it was somewhat subconscious, but it had an absolute effect, and in reality, we've proven this documentary that happened. There are so many things we show that are misconceptions that are still held today about Sarah Palin and about Barack Obama.
One more thing on Williams. I've known this guy for a long time. I think he's more interested in shirts and suits than he is in ideology.
He's a good dresser. He's a good dresser.
I think that was handed to him. He didn't write it.
It is. Well, I don't know.
I think it was handed to him.
I
by
would love to have an interview with him to ask him that question.
That's an interesting question.
But it is consistent with his MO. This is the way Brian Williams does things.
But he does what he's told.
Well,
he's not Peter Jennings or Brokaw. He does what he's told.
And this is just one small example of dozens and dozens we have in this film that show that NBC was in the tank, as well as other media outlets. HowObamaGotElected.com. And
very good.
Hope you see the film.
We appreciate you coming on.
I wish I was back in the land of cotton. Old times there, they are not forgotten. Look away. Look away. Look away.
And in your heart, you know Governor Palin is right, and you know she's the right choice for America. Thank you, my fellow Americans. Good night, and y'all come back now, you hear?
It's very important when you consider even national security issues with Russia, as Putin rears his head and comes into the airspace of the United States of America. Where do they go? It's Alaska. It's just right over the border. It is from Alaska that we send those out to make sure that an eye is being kept on this very powerful nation, Russia, because they are right there. They are right next to our state.